Today, we are talking all about the mindset of email management and organization. This training or this episode is a little mini training, if you will, regarding the mindset of organization as it relates to your email ecosystem. So the larger training is really going to go deep and really walk you through step by step on how to develop your email, processes and workflows and all of that. But this training is really just a little teaser for you. But we're going to talk about the mindset of the process and really dig into it from that perspective. Okay. So just know that it is not going to be all about organizing quick hacks, because I don't feel like that's helpful, right? Quick hacks are things that you want to implement once you have the foundation where it needs to be. So what I like to tell people is, yeah, you can put your quick hacks in place. It's the same with physical organization. Yeah, you can go and you can buy the pretty containers and you can follow, this quick tip on how to do XYZ. But if you don't address the issues, the underlying issues of whatever it is that you're trying to organize, you're going to be right back where you started from, a week later after applying this quote unquote quick hack. So I am not a huge proponent of just having a training that is full of quick hacks. I want to get into the deep and dirty of organizing and making sure that you are doing it from the bottom up. Okay, so just know that going into this episode, and know that if you want to go deeper and you want to get some of those quick hacks, but you want to do it the right way, definitely wait till the end to hear about the full-blown training. So my trainings are all built off of the 5 stages of organizing. You guys have been listening long enough so that you know that is my ball of wax. Like, that is what I teach. So for those who are new, my 5 stages of organizing process is built off of the mindset stage, decluttering, system development, beautification, and mindset. And out of those 5 stages, the only stage that is optional would be your beautification stage, because you can organize without beautifying, but you should not be beautifying before you organize. So that is why that stage is optional. And a lot of times in training, in my trainings, I will completely skip the beautification stage because it's very unique to you, right? Everything that we do in organizing is unique to you, but beautification is one of those really, really unique. So I usually just skip it or let you know, here is where you do XYZ. And so today we are really, really just focusing in on that first stage. We're not going to be able to tackle everything related to it, but this is the stage that you are going into today. So the first tip or the first step that I want you to take is to identify your ecosystem goals, okay? So when you think about your mailbox ecosystem, how do you want it to work? What are your ultimate goals for it, and how you work with it? How do you plan to work with your email over time? Really think about the emotional drain that your email system has on not only you, but your business as well. And how would you like to see that change? That's the overall purpose of you identifying these goals, okay? So before we get in too deep into that, let me really just define what an ecosystem, what email ecosystem is, because many of you, this is the first time you've heard that term. An email ecosystem is, I use that term in reference to the entire system that is being used to process incoming and outgoing email, okay? So in an email ecosystem, it could include not only the inbox, the emails that are coming into the inbox itself, but it's also referring to the folder structure within the mailbox, the tagging, if you have that set up in your mailbox, the archival system or disaster recovery system, the processes used in and in conjunction with your email box, and any other systems that touch, talk to or are used with your inbox, both incoming and outgoing. So it's the whole kit and caboodle, right? That is what, when I say ecosystem, that is what I'm referring to. So going back to your ecosystem goals, what are some examples of some goals that you would want to really think about or set for yourself, right? So use the phrase, once we get done with this, I'll be able to fill in the blank, right? So a lot of times what I hear is, I want to find things faster in my mailbox, or I want to achieve inbox 0 every day. Now, that is not me, but there are some people that have that as a goal. That's really what they want to do. They feel better when they come to their inbox and there's no emails in it, and that's for each its own, right? So if that's your goal, make sure that you write it down. Others that I've heard are, I only have action items in my inbox, or I only use my inbox as a portal. And this is not an all-inclusive list that I'm giving you today, but ultimately, just understanding that the things, when you look at your inbox and the things that you're thinking, oh, I want my inbox to be able to, or I want to be able to do XYZ, fill in that blank to begin to build your goals. So the purpose of this step one is that the deliverable, I should say, from step one is that you will have a list of goals that you are going to work towards achieving. Okay. So, as we begin going through these first 3 steps, we're really going to be building on top of each of these things, and they're going to be working together in tandem, okay? So that we have a full-blown understanding of our overall mindset and our goals and what it is that we are about to do when we get ready to do the organization of your email ecosystem. All right, so step 2 is that you're going to want to identify your current state of your inbox, okay, or your email ecosystem. So you want to determine how you use your inbox, right? And the problems that you experience with that mailbox, right? Because that is going to be important for how you need to organize it. You can't really begin to develop your organizing system unless you know kind of from where you came. What are the issues? What are the problems that I'm experiencing? And how do I resolve those going forward so that I can eliminate those problems? That's the overall goal. So you really want to make a list of what this current state of your mailbox is, and I will give you a couple of hints as far as what that really entails. So a couple of questions that you can ask yourself in relation to your current use state is, when do you give your email address out? Are you just giving the same email address out to everybody for any little old thing, or do you have specific emails that you give for specific things? There is no right or wrong answer to these examples or these questions that I'm providing to you, but you need to think about that question. When do you give your email address out? What email addresses do you have? Like, these are things that you want to keep track of. So if you're keeping a running list, and I do have a template available for you, but in absence of this template, you would just basically write these things down on a piece of paper, just keep a running list. So at the top, you'll have your goals for the project or the goals for your email box or your email ecosystem. And then next you'll say, here is the current state. Here are the current uses of my email box, right? Or my emails, because some people have more than one email, right, that they're using. And it's okay. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have multiple emails or email boxes. The question is, how are you using them? What are you using them for? And you need to articulate that. You need to have an understanding of what that is as we begin to develop what your ecosystem is going to look like once we get through with the organization and management of it. So what types of emails do you receive? This is another really good question to ask, because we all receive different types of emails. When I think about the emails that come into my inbox, they vary. I have a bunch of junk that some kind of way I got on somebody's list, or someone sold my name. Like, my entrepreneurial mailbox is not as bad as my 9 to 5 email box, right? Because my 9 to 5 email box, because it's a public company, because my information is publicly provided, let me say that, people have the ability to pull my information. And so I get cold calls all the time and emails and all kinds of different things. People are breaking the law left and right, adding me to email lists that I didn't sign up for. So that mailbox has a little bit more junk in it than my entrepreneurial mailbox or the happiness bucket mailbox. Okay. So think about it. Do you get a lot of newsletters? Do you get a lot of client or customer emails from your customers or your clients? Do you get a lot of vendor emails? And with vendor emails, and really with any business, they oftentimes can send you multiple emails, but they're from different email addresses. So really pay attention to, with vendor A, are they sending you newsletters from one email and sending, information about your account or your analytics from a different email? A lot of companies do that because as a customer, they say, hey, we need to have the right to email you. So this is what we're going to email from. But the newsletters, maybe you're not interested in receiving that. And so you have the ability to unsubscribe from those types of emails. Other vendors just put it all in one fell swoop. And so you can decide, first of all, as a business owner, how do you want to email? Are you sending out emails? And do you kind of have those two different categories? You want to think about how you do that, right? But as a consumer, right, as someone who is receiving these emails, then it's important for you to know that that's how they're sending them to you, so you can make a decision on, do you need to keep both of those or get off of one or the other? You receive receipts. What do you do with the receipts? How are those receipts sent to you? And are those receipts for payments you've made or payments that have been made to you? I receive emails for both. So thinking about, what do you do with those? What do you need to do with those? How do you currently use your inbox? Do you use it as a portal? Do you use it as a filing cabinet? Do you use it as a task list? Again, that is, if you're hearing it, you remember that when we were going over the goals list, some of those questions kind of aligned with some of those goals that we talked about. So ultimately, once you get done defining your current uses and really breaking that down, those are going to or should align with your overall goals. So when you look at that list, if those don't map to a goal that is on your goal list, and you've identified, like, this is a current use, but this is what I want to see happen as you're going through the current use state, right? You're identifying your problems that you have with the system. And let's say you've identified a problem that hasn't been identified on your goal list. That's when you want to identify that item as a goal on your goal list, okay? And making sure that those map is ultimately what I'm trying to get at. And here's the deal. Your goal list by the end of this may be long. You may have 10 items. You may have started with maybe 3 and end up with 5 or 15. Don't let that list of your goals overwhelm you, because oftentimes what I find is that there are relatable goals, right? That several of these goals are kind of one goal that's really broken down into more bite-sized pieces, but it's really into this parent. That's number one. And number 2 is that you don't necessarily have to address all of those on the first go round, okay? You can break your goals down into phases, or we'll just use the word phrases, because maybe this first round, right, phase 1, we're going to focus on getting the structure down and setting up some high level workflows. Maybe 2 is really establishing those workflows, external workflows versus internal workflows. And then maybe level 3 is really digging into the searching functionality or some other things that you want to set up within your inbox. Again, there's no rhyme or reason. There's no rule that says you have to do it any one specific way, but it gives you the ability to determine how much you're going to tackle during your organizing project. So I just wanted to make sure that I tackled that so that you are not overwhelmed by the time you finish your current use state and really evaluate where you are in the process, that you don't let that overwhelm you when you see kind of what your goal list is. But what it does do is set your expectations. It lets you know, hey, I've got a long list here. And realistically, if I did everything on this list, I'm not going to have an organized mailbox for at least a year or two, right? So by breaking it down, you're able to realize that return on investment a lot sooner. All right. So just going back to that current use and the examples, when you're digging into your problems, the problems that you have with your mailbox, really try to get granular with that to say, okay, I have a problem searching. Okay, that's fine. You know, I can't find things, right? Maybe that's the problem that you're having. Well, give me some examples of what you've been looking for that you can't find. So having some examples is always helpful in determining kind of what are the things that you typically look for. And there are some things that you may come across that once we fix this, you may find that one of the problem areas that you had is kind of self-corrected because of this bigger issue that trickled down, okay? And then make sure that you're listing off some of your wish list items, because there may be some things that are on your list that aren't true problems in your current email system, but they're just like, ooh, this would be a nice to have, right? This would be interesting if I could do X, Y, Z. I can't do it right now and it's not hindering my business, but I think by having this, it may help my business along a little better. All right, so what about the purposes of your inbox? What is the overall purpose? Now, I'm going to say this. As I've stated already, that there are some of you who have multiple mailboxes. Again, there is nothing wrong with you having more than one mailbox. The important thing is for you to identify the overall purposes for the mailboxes that you use. If you only have one mailbox, you still want to identify the various purposes of how you use that inbox. So here are some common scenarios or purposes that I find that people have for their mailboxes. So of course you have your business email, or for business purposes, and when I say business, I'm referring to your entrepreneurial endeavor, okay? So these are emails that are related to your side hustling tasks and responsibilities. They're emails that are coming in from your clients and your vendors that are specifically related to your entrepreneurial endeavor. Then for those of you who do work a full-time job or work a job that has email attached to it, you have your work email. And so that is the work that you do for someone else. Now, understand, I'm not referring to your entrepreneurial work. If you're doing work for somebody else, but it's under the umbrella of your business, that's not what I'm referring to here. What I'm referring to is I work a full-time job and I have an entrepreneurial endeavor. This work email is for my full-time job, okay? So oftentimes that is a completely separate email ecosystem, meaning that your work locks down the email. You only send emails from that system that are related to that work, okay, or are for that work, all right? I like to refer to those as the bill paying tasks. Like those are the things that you don't want to start messing around on the ecosystem of the people who are helping you pay your bills, right? You want to make sure that you only keep what needs to be kept in that email system, because they're paying for that space that you're using on that system. Oftentimes work emails also has a lot of things locked down or have a lot more restrictions related to how you use the email from that system. Then the third option or third purpose that I find is for personal or home use, right? And so here is where you are more than likely going to really need to think about your overall purpose of your inbox and what you are using. So when you're dealing with personal and home, let's say that you're dealing with insurance, right? State Farm, you got a new vehicle, or you need to add to your homeowner's policy or what have you. You're going to email your agent. Y'all are going to have a back and forth via email, yada, yada, right? Well, where do you do that communication? Which email account are you using to do that? Are you using a personal email account, or do you use your entrepreneurial email account or your work? Like, which one are you using? And oftentimes, this is where things begin to get blended and mixed in, right? And again, if you have one mailbox and this is what you're doing, depending on if it's your business, entrepreneurial, or work email, that's going to determine, like, how do you handle this email? What system do you need to set up within it? Okay. And then the other thing is that you need to think about is, for example, with me, again, working 9 to 5, right? So typically my insurance agent, still using that example, she is open during those hours. So typically when I am communicating with her, I'm going to do it from my work email because that is the easiest way to contact me, right? And so what do I do with those? What are the rules around those? That's why I'm having you identify these purposes and when and where you're using what type of email and from what box and all of that, because you want to really niche down and figure out, okay, if I'm dealing with this, where am I dealing with it? Using that insurance example again, what happens when you are addressing, so let's use that insurance example and say we were talking about the car insurance, right? But let's say that you have your personal car that everybody in the family drives, yada, yada, but you also have a business vehicle, right? And so they're all insured under the same company, but they're kind of insured separately. So now what do you do? Right? So those are the types of things I really want you to think about, because in that instance, again, are you emailing from your business account for that specific topic? Or are you emailing from wherever they're used to emailing you from, but it has business connotations that maybe you need to forward it over to your business account or CC your business account or something like that. So I'm getting a little deep on this one, but I really just want you to understand it's all about looking at the mailbox you're talking about and identifying what types of emails you receive in that inbox and what is its overall purpose. Like, what is the parent purpose of the mailbox? And then what are the other things that you do, other purposes that you have for it, so that you can determine how to develop your systems around that. Okay. And then the fourth one purpose that I often hear is related to organizations you belong to. So like church, or maybe a professional organization where you are doing a lot of business for them. So that could be a separate inbox, or it could be your personal inbox that you are emailing relating to this particular topic or matter. All right. So the third thing that I want to talk to you, or the third thing I want you to think about, is about your ecosystem foundation. So we've talked a lot about your actual mailbox and or mailboxes, but what we haven't talked about is what platform are you utilizing, right? Because your email is an entity of itself. That's how we're kind of talking about this. And that's how people often think about their inbox, is just an entity of itself. But the truth is that there is an underlying foundation of that that we need to talk about. So your email platform is where your email is housed, right? This is a huge factor in your overall email management and organization process. And you need to really sit down and evaluate why you're using the platform that you are. Now, I'm not saying there's anything good or bad about the platform you are personally using, so don't take this as that statement. All I'm saying is to really evaluate it and make sure that it is the right system and platform for you and your business, okay? So there are typically, for me, and I'm saying this is my opinion, so don't start emailing me, but there are, in my opinion, there are 3 particular systems that I hear are used all the time. Like, there are very, very rarely do I hear of another email system than the 3 that I'm about to mention. What is not on this list is any Apple-based product. So just know this is all either cloud or Windows-based. But even with Macs, I hear most people are downloading Outlook on their Macs, Outlook for Mac or things like that, or they're using a cloud-based system. So just know that with me saying what I'm saying. So the three systems, I'm going to put them in the order of power, meaning their email management and organization features are a lot richer. I'm gonna put them in richest to least rich, okay? And I'm gonna tell you why I've put them in the order that I have. So in position number 3, so we're gonna start with the least and work our way up. So the least feature rich is unfortunately Gmail. I know there's a lot of you who use Gmail, and I am not anti-Gmail by any means, but I am actually biased with Gmail because I do not like the user interface. You guys know that. And the main thing about just organization and email management is that it is not feature rich at all. It does have some features, right? There are some features and there are some things that you can do to help you with email management and organization. But the interface in itself is very cluttered. I like to say it's noisy. There are a lot of things going on the screen. You can minimize or turn some of them off, but it's a lot, right? There's just a lot of stuff happening. And then just to get where you're trying to get, there's a lot of clicks. And I'm one that, you know, even in my full-time environment, just one of the biggest complaints we have is the wasted time it takes to click so many times. And so I find that Gmail is very click heavy. And it's just not as feature rich as the other two options of platforms. So it is what it is. Your opinion is your opinion, but that is what I've found. The second level, it would be Zoho Mail. Zoho Mail is actually actually, I use all three of these platforms, but my entrepreneurial platform is on Zoho Mail. I really like this platform. It is a good mixture between some of the features that are on Gmail, like tagging, and some of the features that are in our third choice. So it's just a good mix. And I find that I can do so much more with the functionality in Zoho Mail than I can in Gmail. The one good thing, it's not the one good thing, but a good thing with Zoho Mail is that it actually does have syncing with Gmail. So you can have kind of the best of both worlds, have Zoho Mail, but as a backup, have your emails porting over to to Gmail. Or you can, well, that's a deeper training. I'm not even going to get into all that, but just know that there is a nice relationship between Zoho Mail and Gmail. But for an interface perspective, definitely Zoho Mail beats out Gmail. And then the third level and the top level in this 3 level exercise, I don't know what you call it, it would be Outlook. Obviously, I think you guys kind of guessed that one already. Outlook it is an email management and organization platform. Like, they are super feature rich. Like, there are things that I have in my work-based email that I absolutely love. I've set up, it's working seamlessly, and I can't do it in Zoho Mail, and I definitely can't do it in Gmail. So, you know, it just wins out, right? But I understand, depending on where you are on your journey, what your preference is, you just have to choose the platform that is right for you. I will tell you, you know, Outlook, if you have a Windows-based system, you may have it already on your system, depending on how you purchased it. Or you know, there's Office 365, which you can have the download with that application. So you have that option, but it is typically a paid application, right? Unless it came with your computer. So that's one of the downsides of the Outlook, but just from the features alone just kind of make that pretty much worth it. With Zoho Mail, that is a free platform. And so that's what made it really enticing for me. Plus it's cloud-based and it allows for you, and not to say that Outlook doesn't, but Zoho Mail allowed me at the time that I chose it back in 2013, I was able to build my domain on it. So I could build my domain-based email on this free platform, you know, and it was seamless. And I could port it over to Gmail if I wanted to, without any problems. Gmail, you can also cloak your email there as well. There is a little bit of a longer delay with the Gmail option versus the Zoho Mail, but it works the same. So ultimately, the point of this diatribe is for you to really evaluate your email platform. Why are you using it? What is it that you like about it? And verify and make sure that that is the right platform for you. And the reason I'm telling you to do this now is because what you don't want to do is begin to organize and set up your systems on a platform and then later find out that you really want to move it somewhere else. You want to get your emails in the platform that you want to be in, and then build your systems and all of that from that platform, okay? So oftentimes when I'm working with clients, we go through this mindset process first, develop our requirements document, and then we make a determination of which platform really is gonna be the best for what their needs are, and go from there. So that's why I want you to start really thinking about it and really doing that research now. All right, so aliases versus accounts. I really want to dig into that for just a second, because there is a clear distinction that needs to be made here, because I find that people are setting up separate accounts unnecessarily because they don't realize that they can just set up an alias to their account. So an alias is much like an AKA of your account. So if your account is first name dot last name at domain.com, your alias could be first name dot last name 2 at domain.com, right? It's a way for you to have a secondary email that is used but goes to the same account. Whereas a separate account requires a completely separate password to access it. So oftentimes, you know, I've seen people set up an account that they want to share, like it's like a shared account. So they want to have more than one person who can access that particular account. And so then they'll set up a separate account. Or if they have an actual employee, they'll set up a separate account. So that's kind of the distinction that I want you to understand, because I see so many of you all setting up separate accounts unnecessarily, and it's creating bloat in your overall process. Because when we really break down the reason behind why you have this separate account, an alias actually would work so much better, okay? So finally, I've already actually talked about this, and this is about your domains, right? So if you are still using a free domain, and when I say free domain, I'm meaning the at gmail.com, the hotmail.com, the outlook.com, all of those domains are free domains, right? And so as a business owner, you should have a domain-based email. If you're serious about your business, you should have a domain-based email. I'm going to tell you straight up, whenever I see an email for a business that is a gmail.com, that's the most common that I see, I question whether it is truly a business or a hobby. And they may be super successful in their business, and you may be too, and still have a gmail.com address. But I'm just giving you from an outward perspective, this oftentimes is where I kind of can figure out, are they serious? Are they really focused on their business? Or is this more of a hobby that they're trying to turn into a business, right? So this is one of those things you want to go ahead and take care of. A domain is as cheap as like $9. It's not a super expensive endeavor. And with hosting, typically, I want to say it's between $17 and $24, just depending on what service you get your domain and hosting, email hosting from. Again, as I mentioned with Zoho, you literally, all you have to have is your domain name, and you can set it up and they provide free hosting. So don't use that as an excuse as to why you have or have not gotten a domain-based email. Again, Gmail allows you to cloak your email, so you can purchase your domain and bring it into the Gmail interface if you would like to do that. It does create a slight delay with Gmail because technically your email is on a server, and all Gmail is doing is going out and fetching your emails from the server and bringing them back to Gmail. Whereas with Zoho, they are truly hosting your email, so there's no visual delay in the delivery, okay? So ultimately, I'm going to tell you, stop building your business on other people's land, build it on your own land, set up your domain so that you have access to your email. The only, thing, or I won't say the only, but, make sure you're paying the bill, right? Because if you don't pay the bill, email goes away. But ultimately, you want to be building on your own land and taking your business seriously by having your own domain name. So that is it. That is our email management and organization mindset training. And this is actually, like I said, just a little snippet of the overall email course. This is just a teaser of what you will get as you go through the email management course. Now, in that course, we are going to go super deep, super granular, and helping you build out your overall email ecosystem so that you can be more efficient with your emails and everything related to your overall ecosystem. So I hope you found this helpful. Definitely, if you are interested in learning more about the training, jump over to organizedacademy.com. The sign up page for the training will be there. Now, again, depending on when you listen to this, I'm sorry, because it's not free. I don't know why that was about to come out of my mouth. The pre training that you can get access to, meaning that pre-sale. I don't know what's wrong with me right now. I just had a big brain fart. So ultimately, when you go there, depending on when you go there, we may still be in kind of the pre-sale stage that is going to give you pretty much a half a discount on that course, so the training. So as I'm still building it, I'm allowing people to get in early and just pay a much smaller fee to get in early and begin taking the trainings and making sure that it's answering your needs and that I'm not confusing in what I'm sharing with you. And then if you come later, it will be for the final sale price that is available. Now, if you would like to become an Organized Academy member, as a member of the Vault, you will receive the training as part of your membership. So definitely check it out. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you soon.